Very nice. Thank you, sir. Welcome, everybody out there. We're here for another installment of the Irish Night of Blue live stream concert series, coming to you live over the interwebs on Facebook and YouTube. I hope everybody's logging on and getting into it right now. Seems to be up and running and working for a change. On both channels, we are here tonight with our very special guest, Mr. Jefferson Hamer. Very excited for this. I first met Jefferson in my living room in an apartment I had with my old roommate Sean Sutherland quite a while ago, and he's old friends with Jefferson, and he stopped by with some other buddies, played a few tunes, I believe, in the living room, and had a good time, and then has since had a chance to book him a few times at One Longfellow Square with his friend Anais Mitchell, who he did an album of Child Ballads with. We're going to hear more about that later. And of course, for the Irish scene, we'll know him from his duo shows with Eamon O'Leary as the Murphy Beds. I did get Mary Lou from New Hampshire asked if you were just going to be a Murphy cot with,
Murphy bag. The Murphy bag.
In any case, we're very glad you're here, sir, and we're looking forward. Jefferson's going to give us a bunch of songs tonight. Who knows what else? Please hit him up in the. I don't think he'll be able to see the chat, but I can relay anything that's actually intelligent and pertinent. But that usually doesn't happen much, so we'll probably just stick with the music. We had a cancellation for next week. I'll tell everybody now, and probably in the middle again. Matt Christian and Max Carmichael couldn't make it. They couldn't make the show. But we luckily got a last-minute stand-in with Tim Hill and Autumn Rhodes from out in San Francisco. Really great, straight-up trad Irish musicians. Tim just put out an album a little less than a year ago, a solo piping record that's just fantastic. If you're into that kind of thing, if you're brave enough to try the solo piping album, it's a great record. So we're gonna have them next week, the night before Thanksgiving, and then a few more. I think there's only 3 or 4 more after that, and we'll be done. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. I'll be in the chat, so let me know if you are. And we got plenty of music to go. So without further ado, if you're ready, sir, take it away. Mr. Jefferson Hamer, everybody, give him a great big round of applause and welcome him to the internet.
The first time that ever I saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon and stars were the gifts you gave to the dark, and the rolling sky, my love, to the dark and the rolling sky. The first time that ever I kissed your mouth, I felt the world turn in my hands, like the beating heart of a captive bird that was there at my command, my love, that was there at my command. The first time that ever I lay with you and felt your heartbeat next to mine, I thought our joy would fill the earth and last till the end of time, my love, and last till the end of time. The first time that ever I saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon and stars were the gifts you gave to the dark, and the rolling sky, my love, to the dark, and the rolling sky. All right. Good evening, everybody. I can't see you. I can just see a black screen that says Tom in the middle of it, but it's nice to know that Tom's out there, so I'm not complaining. I wish I could see all of you, but we know the drill by now. So it's a pleasure to get to play a few songs, and I hope that I hope that we can communicate a little bit. I think if you're able to chat either via the YouTube or the Facebook, Tom should see what you write. If it's really important, he'll wave at me and let me know. If there's a couple requests, I'd be happy to try to play them later on. But for now, just get the ball rolling. That was a Ewan MacColl song, a #1 hit for Ewan MacColl by Roberta Flack, and that version comes from a Gordon Lightfoot sort of arrangement. At least that's how I think of that take on that song. The first time I ever saw your face. I'm gonna do mostly songs from the traditional vein or classic songwriter vein that crosses over into Irish music, because this show is being put on by Blue, the Blue Irish group up in Portland, Maine. And I was honored that they asked me to do this. And it's fun to try to dig into some of the more Irish and trad sounding repertoire. Here's a nice old song I learned from Peter Davis up in Saratoga Springs, New York. Come by the hills. Come by the hills, there's a land where fancy is free, where the peaks reach the sky and the rocks meet the sea, where the rivers run clear and the bracken is gold in the sun. Oh, the cares of tomorrow can wait till this day is done. Come by the hills, there's a land where life is a song, where the birds fill the air with their joy all day long, where the trees sway in time and even the wind sings a tune. Though the cares of tomorrow can wait till this day is through. Come by the hills, there's a land where legends remain, where stories are told but the young come again, where the past is not lost and the future is yet to be won. Oh, the cares of tomorrow can wait till this day is done. Come by the hills. Come by the hills, followed by a little bit of picking, and I think that tune's called Palmer's Gate. This is a Scottish song. I think there's a nice version by Joanna Newsom out there. If you're looking for a connection to contemporary indie folk or whatever genre Joanna Newsom is. But I learned it from a Louis Killen record. Yeah. Call the owls to the nows, call them where the heather grows, call them where the burnie rolls, my bonnie dearie. As I went by the waterside to watch the waves so sweetly glide beneath the spreading hazel wide, the moon was shining clearly. Well, I done forgot the second verse. Call the owls to the nows, Call them where the heather grows, call them where the bunny rolls, my bonny dearie. Oh, you'll have gowns and ribbons meet, calfskin shoes upon your feet, and in my arms you'll lie asleep if you'll be my dearie. If you'll but stand to what you said, I'll go with you, my sailor lad, and roll with you among the plaid, and I'll be your dearie. So call the owls to the nows, call them where the heather grows, call them where the burnie rolls, my bonny dearie. Call the owls. Here's a big old Irish song from the Andy Irvine River of Song. I saw Andy in Colorado many years ago teach a workshop, and he taught this song. And this was before I ever had heard Planxty's After the Break record. So I didn't know how monumentous of an occasion it was to learn You Rambling Boys of Pleasure from Andy Irvine. Except when my true love is in my sight. down in yon flowery garden where me and my true love did meet. I took her in my arms and unto her gave kisses sweet. She bade me take life easy, just as the leaves fall from the tree. But I, being young and foolish, with my own true love did not agree. Second time I met my love, I thought her heart was surely mine. But as the season changes, my darling girl has changed her mind, and gold is the root of although it bears a glistening hue, causes many's a lad and a lass to part, though their hearts like mine be e'er so true. And I wished I was in Belfast town with my true love along with me, and money in my pocket to keep us in good company, liquor to be plenty, a flowing glass on every side. Hard fortune would ne'er dawn me, for I am young and the world is wide. Well, it's a pretty song. Any emergencies coming through? Doesn't look like there's any emergencies. That's good. I thought I had that thing. It was like you sit down for your SAT and you can't find your number 2 pencil. The moment Tom was introducing the show, I couldn't find my capo. I kicked over the guitar, fell into this pile of equipment over here. I'm in my bedroom. Just trust me on this. This is an elaborate ruse, this whole backdrop, which I'm sure you thought I was in some magnificent concert hall. But no, it's just my room here in Brooklyn, New York, where I have been almost every day for the last 8 months or so, except for a brief stint in the hospital. But luckily, that's all behind us, and we're back, and we're headed into the winter. Good time to learn some new folk songs. I'm going to do one more, and then maybe Tom has a few words. I think that's how the format works. There's a singer friend. I have a friend. Let me try to say this like a human being. I have a friend who lives in Sheffield in central England. Her name's Rosie Hood. We spent a good deal of time a few years ago arranging some songs, some of which came from the Child Ballads collection, the 5-volume series collected by Francis James Child in the late 19th century. And this is one of the stranger songs that I've ever actually seen in my life. The plot is essentially it's a tale of seduction, whereby our hero Willie, he's not having much luck with his love interest, so he decides he's going to fake his own demise in an effort to, I guess, the Florence Nightingale effect, as he lays there in at the church with his whole family around, pretending like they're getting ready for a funeral. He's just laying there waiting for Annie to come running or riding, as the case may be, on her horse. And when she gets to him, he springs up from the bed and says, "Will you marry me?" It's a good trick. So you'll find this in the child collections as Willie's Like Wake, L-O-I-K-E. But Rosie and I call this Flowers Blue and Yellow. And the melody comes from a different song that I was writing many years ago in Colorado that never saw fruition under the influence of a lot of kombucha. Says Willie to the bell cry, "Take my golden money. I'll know by the wake bell if Annie truly loves me. And I'll lie down like I would dead and wait for her to follow. And she will come and crown my head with flowers blue and yellow." Oh, when the first bell rang out, Annie gave a sad sigh. When the next bell rang out, tears filled her blue eye. "Go fetch me a horse, Father, go fetch me a saddle, and I'll ride to the church with the flowers blue and yellow." Oh, daughter, lovely daughter, listen to my warning. Ride beside your brother when he comes home next morning. And she's tied back her yellow hair and rode out on the meadow. And in the field she's gathered there the flowers blue and yellow. Willie's only brothers were building him a casket, and Willie's only sisters were sewing him a coverlet, and Willie's only mother was weeping low and hollow, and he gives her flowers, flowers blue and yellow. And then the eldest sister leads her to his chambers, flung her arms around her, said, I'll leave you alone here. And when she stepped up to his bed, his cheeks were pale and sallow, and he lay around his head, the flowers blue and yellow. His hair she took so lightly, was soft as any eider. His hands she took so gently, was warm as any ember. And when she kissed him cheek and chin, he drew a breath so shallow. He stood up and locked them in, the flowers blue and yellow. Oh, the sun rose on the meadow, all the birds were singing, shone down on the chapel as the wedding bells were ringing. She said, if I'm bound with you to dwell, the end of all my sorrow will be the sound of a wedding bells and flowers blue and yellow. Flowers blue and yellow. Tom's back.
Hey, sounds great, man. That's a nice song. I haven't heard that one before.
That's because it's brand new.
Oh, is that one of yours?
Well, that's an adaptation of
Yeah.
a child ballad. But
Oh, it is a child ballad.
yeah, myself
Cool.
and Rosie Hood came sort of put that one together.
Nice. Beautiful. Well, thank you for being with us. Jefferson Hamer here, everybody, on Irish Night at Blue. We got a nice crowd watching tonight. Some friends of yours out there. Somebody warning that there's always a Willie. You got to watch out for the Willies. It's true. Willie is a devious figure in traditional music.
Yes.
You've got some hijinks in the trad songs, but, you know.
He gets up to all kinds of stuff. And sometimes he gets away with it, sometimes he doesn't. Willie of Winsbury gets away with it.
Not all the Willies do.
Willie's Likeweight gets away with it.
Well, Willie is as Willie does.
Willie's Lady gets away with it.
Oh, yeah?
I actually can't think of one of a Willie who gets what's coming to him, but I'm sure. Write that in at home, all you folkies. Write in, what are the songs where Willie gets what's coming to him?
I think in Little Willie in the Bluegrass, doesn't he get killed at the end?
Little Willie said to me, Little Willie in Bluegrass, the Little Willie that I know, he sends the girl home after he seduces her, and he seems like he gets off scot-free. Once again, Wily Willie.
Oh, maybe Willie always gets off. That's kind of, shouldn't say that online. That was came out of my mouth before I realized what I was saying. We're gonna reel that one back in
nowadays. Yeah,
We'll take care of that one in
from the
post.
dialogue. I got a few notes I want to cut from the dialogue.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Jefferson Hamer, everybody. We're glad to see you are feeling better. You're out of commission. We luckily were able to postpone your show and get you on. I think this is the first live stream performance you've done since your accident.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Not to dwell on it. I broke a few bones in the shoulder and this general side of my body, but I can do I can do this with my arm now. And in the beginning, I couldn't even wash my armpits, so I'd say that's a lot of improvement.
Progress. There's quite a few trad injuries going on this season.
Oh, is it a big year for that?
There's been a few, yeah. Allison Perkins, who plays with Nicholas Brown. We are supposed to play. Nicholas did a solo show because she was pruning her hedges, I believe, and cut her hand on
Oh,
pruning shears. Yeah, which is just awful. I think she's nearly mended as well, but she had to miss her show. And I think there was another one too, but now I can't remember. I'm just staying indoors and keeping myself wrapped in bubble wrap because I don't want to be one of them. But
yeah, good year for that.
so Jefferson has multiple projects over the years that I've known about. Are you still playing with Session Americana at all, or is that over since you're not in the Boston area? I guess they're not really doing much right now anyway.
Yeah,
Primarily a live act.
I'd say that everything's in a suspension at the
Yeah,
moment. I was playing with them, up until March, and they kind of have a rotating cast, at
yeah,
least with the sixth the sixth members.
right.
We we sixth members affectionately think of ourselves. There's a few of us that kind of rotate through that band, but yeah, Session Americana still going. Then of course the Murphy Beds with Eamon O'Leary.
Yep. Very much looking to having you guys live in person at Blue someday on some future tour when all the COVIDs have gone away. That's right up
Yeah,
our Irish alley there anyway. Not that all the other stuff isn't just as good, but we favor the Irish tunes. And that's a great record, Murphy Bread's record. Everybody I know in the community just thinks that's the Cat's Pajamas. So,
that's sweet of you to say. There's a new one coming soon, and I know I've said that before, but it's true. Coming
yeah.
soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. That's awesome. And then, of course, there's a great record of Child Ballads, which not everybody knows. This is, maybe you should tell them. It's actually a person, right? Is it Robert Child?
Francis James.
Francis Child. I always get that wrong.
Francis James Child. Yeah, Child was a guy, a collector, a folklorist, and an English professor. The first professor of English in America, actually.
Oh, right into
Harvard
that.
created the position for him. So he was interested in stories and words. He wasn't really interested in melodies. So if you go through the Child collections, there's 5 volumes. There's
Hmm.
not a single melody in those books.
No notes at all.
Not one note.
Yeah. Well, leaves it open for interpretation, right?
Yeah, and another guy, Browning, came along much later, and I think he was working out of Berkeley in California, and sort of his life's work was collecting all the melodies that he could find to put with Child's ballads. But I mean, now that recorded music is so prevalent, a lot of them kind of have settled into established melodies.
Right.
Famously, Willie of Winsbury was an accident, right? Andy Irvine was reading melodies out of the Browning book, and he set the wrong melody to Willie of Winsbury, and that's the version that everyone sings.
Serendipity. And of course, that record's with Anais Mitchell, who has now gone on to superstardom with her play Hadestown being live on Broadway. She's still returning your calls.
Yeah, yeah, friendly. Yeah,
I'm
there
just
might be
kidding.
some B-sides from that project coming out at some point.
Yeah, you had mentioned that the other day too. I was hoping
Yeah.
to hear that again. That's great stuff. That version of Tam Lin that goes back for me to the one of the first Fairport Convention albums. I think it's Legion Leaf that's on their version, which was I heard somebody gave me a cassette of that when I was about 10 or 11, and I think that was the seed that eventually became traditional music for me. Somehow Fairport had a lot to do with it anyway, and Sandy Denny's voice had everything to do with it. But that's just me.
Me too.
Yeah, that's how I got through all of my college exams. Was listening to Sandy Denny for about 20 minutes before each test. it always seemed to work. Anyway, I graduated, so it couldn't have been too bad. So what's quarantine life like? What's your next move? Are you stuck in Brooklyn there for a while, or you got anything planned? Hopefully, staying safe and not gathering with tons of people.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. We had like a summertime social club. We called it Beach Club,
Mm-hmm.
and we would ride our bikes to the beach, or Beers on the Piers Club. We would. I live in the Red Hook neighborhood, so I'm down by the water, and we'd gather outside, down by the water and do our socializing that way. But it's not so conducive to the cold weather,
Yeah,
so it's. I
I
think
spent
we're all up against that a little bit.
made it through spring and summer with a string of backyard barbecues, which were kind of fun and limited but good. And now that's coming to an end, so the next few months might be a little bleak, but good news on the horizon with the vaccines. Everybody stay hopeful out there. It could be sooner than you think, though. Probably exactly what you think. It's going to be at least a few more months before it gets out to us, and then hopefully they'll do a good job getting that around, and everybody will do a good job actually taking it, and then maybe we'll come back to some form of normal, at least by this time next year, if not by next summer sometime maybe. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, like I always say, everybody be nice to each other out there, be kind, and take care of each other, and that's how we'll get through this. In the meantime, I would like you all to take care of Mr. Jefferson Hamer tonight as well. I've put the link for his PayPal and Venmo in the chat in both YouTube and Facebook several times here right before I came on. I did it again. So now's your chance to take a moment, click on that link, go to PayPal and give Jefferson some money. If you like musicians, if you like what they're doing, tell them with cash, cold hard cash. That's the way everybody likes to hear their appreciation. So times are tough. Jefferson is a full-time touring musician, and I'm sure things are stretched for everybody right now. Those of us without the day jobs anyway, and we could all use your help. There's another link in there I put it at the beginning, and I'll put it in again now and at the end to help out Blue, the venue that we normally do this in live every week. That's been going on it'll be 15 years this February. So a lot of Wednesdays, weekly Irish show every week. Had a lot of big names there, and a lot of local acts, and a lot of everything here and there. So we miss going there. I miss seeing everybody. We miss playing in sessions and all of that good stuff. But it'll come back someday, especially if we're all good about it and take the precautions. But please give if you can. Give a little bit to Blue if you have a little extra and you can help out. But please visit Jefferson's PayPal site first and foremost. Take care of him. And if you don't have any money and you're having a hard time out there and you just wanted to hear some music, that's fine too. We hope you're enjoying yourself, and you're welcome to come and hang out as well. I didn't see anything too fantastic except for the Willie comment I thought was pretty funny in the comments there, so I didn't bust in. But you do have some friends on, some old Irish friends and some other people I don't know as well. So you can rest assured you're not singing to just my blank name on a empty video panel. And if you're ready, we are ready for the second half. Go ahead and take it away. We talked a little longer than I thought I would, but you just play as much as you feel like. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tom.
All right, take it away, everybody. Welcome back,
off.
Jefferson Hamer.
I thought of this old song. I actually recorded this on a 7-inch vinyl. One side of a 7-inch vinyl back in 2011. Another one of the folks' greatest hits, Barbara Ellen. Scarlet Town where I was born, in the place where she was dwelling, a young man down on his deathbed lay, for the love of Barbara Ellen. He sent his servant into town place where she was sleeping, singing, rise, 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 woman, rise, if your name is Barbara Ellen. Ellen, if your name is Barbara Ellen. Slowly, slowly she rose up, and slowly she drew to him, but oh, she found it in her heart to say, young man, looks like you're dying, dying, young man, looks like you're dying. Oh no, no, it not be so, 'cause your love is all I'm needing. One kiss from your ruby lips, it's all I need to go on living. Living, that's all I need to go on living. They went walking into town, and they saw the casket coming. Lay it down, lay it down, lay it down, so I might see, so that I might gaze upon him. They went walking through the churchyard, and they heard the death bells tolling, how all of the people they gathered round for shame. Hard-hearted Barbara Ellen, Ellen, hard-hearted Barbara Ellen. Mother, mother, dig my grave, won't you dig it both long and narrow? If this young man died for the love of me, well then I'll die of sorrow, and then I will die of sorrow. Buried in the churchyard, he was buried by the choir, and out of his heart there grew a red, red rose, and out of Ellen's grew a briar, a red, red rose, and the briar. So they grew and they grew, until they could grow no higher, and then they twisted into a true lover's knot, the red, red rose and the briar, the briar, the red, red rose and the briar. That little tune there at the end is a Donal Lunny tune called Fairfield Mirage. It comes from a record called The Gathering, which I got on cassette many, many years ago, and somehow transferred, it got into my iTunes, or whatever, and it's my go-to plain music, especially when I need to settle down, the sort of anxiety of flying, or somebody sits down next to you and you just have to settle in. And I find Fairfield Mirage and the rest of that album, The Gathering, is a good tonic for your flight anxiety. And you don't need a prescription. You just need The Gathering. I'll do a few more and then let you all go about your evenings. I thought we don't get to play that often, so anything goes, I think, as far as normally you don't want to overdo it. Maybe I don't want to overdo the same songs all the time, but nothing feels overdone at the moment, so I'll do one of those Child Ballads from that record with Anais. This is one that some people have been posting their own versions of online, and I always really like to see that. Love seeing a song get around and know that you have your own tiny little piece of that song pie, and everyone else is cutting away at it too. Some songs are just like that; they really get around. So. Here's one of them. This is Geordie. As I walked out over London Bridge on a misty morning early, I overheard a fair pretty maid crying for the life of a Geordie. Saddle me a milk-white steed, bridle me a pony, and I'll ride down to London town, and I'll beg for the life of my Geordie. And when she came to the courthouse steps, the poor folks numbered many. 100 crowns she passed around, saying, pray for the life of my Geordie. He never stole a mule or a mare, he never murdered any. If he shot one of the king's wild deer, it was only to feed his family. And then she strolled to the marble halls before the judge and the jury. Down on a bended knee she falls, crying for the life of a Geordie. He never stole, he never slew, he never murdered any. Oh, he never injured any of you. Spare me the life of my Geordie. The judge looked over his left shoulder. He says, I'm sorry for thee, my pretty fair maid. You come too late, he's been condemned already. 6 pretty babes I have by him, the 7th one lies in my body, and I would bear them all over again if you give me the life of my Geordie. Oh, you Geordie will hang for from a silver chain, such as we don't hang many, and he'll be laid in a coffin brave for your 6 fine sons to carry. I wish I had you in the public square, the whole town gathered around me, with my broadsword and a pistol to fight you for the life of my Geordie. Geordie. Oh, here's a song, kind of a, I don't know what to say, but it's a song I learned from Patty Tunney from Manitoba. Hope I'm getting that right, Patty. It's on Patty's record, and she taught it to me at the Fiddle Tunes gathering in Port Townsend, Washington. But sometimes in the Murphy Beds we sing it as our last song. It kind of has that last song feeling to it, so I might make this my last song and just say thank you for those of you who tuned in to listen, and I hope some of you just had this music on in the background while you were roasting peppers with a little olive oil and salt and pepper. Maybe last of the rosemary that you trimmed and brought in before the frost. Or maybe you're making a 4-hour eggplant sauce with cubed eggplant and some San Marzano tomatoes that you barely have the heat on. It barely bubbles. It bubbles like once every 5 to 10 seconds. And you've just got it there for 4 hours. It's almost time to eat. That's what I'm going to think of anyway when I sing this song for you. So thanks again, and feel free to get in touch anytime. Just my email. Well, you can mail me off of my website, which is just my name, or Facebook, Instagram. Well, those things still exist. I'm on there too. So, okay. Have a good night. Brothers, now our meeting is over. Brothers, we must part. And if I never see you anymore, I'll love you in my heart. And we'll land on the shore. And we'll land on the shore. And we'll land on the shore. And be safe forevermore. Sisters, now our meeting is over. Sisters, we must part. And if I never see you anymore, I'll love you in my heart. And we'll land on the shore. And we'll land on the shore. And we'll land on the shore. And be safe forevermore. knows now our meeting is over. Lovers, we must part. And if I never see you anymore, I'll love you in my heart. And we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and be safe forevermore. True friends, now our meeting is over. True friends, we must part. And if I never see you anymore, I'll love you in my heart. And we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and be safe forevermore. And we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and be safe forevermore. And we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and be safe forevermore. We'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and be safe forevermore.
All right, that was beautiful. Thank you, sir. Lovely song. That's a nice finisher. I forgot to bring up at the halftime that you have a fairly newish CD out there called Alameda. I did put the link in.
Thanks.
So people can stroll through the comments there and find a link to that. I've only heard a couple tracks so far. I haven't gotten too deep into that one, but sounds great. Always good stuff. Everything coming out of Mr. Hamer is pretty good. So I advise you to go check it out and listen to some of the other projects, and keep an eye out for a live performance someday in Portland, Maine, when we can make that happen. Hopefully Eamon's up for that too. We'll see what happens. Well, I hope you had fun, Mr. Hamer. It was great having you here.
Thanks so much, Tom. Thanks for putting on this series. And as you know, it's not a lot of opportunities to play these days. So thanks for giving us all a place to come together and get to do this once in a while.
You're very welcome. That was my thinking. Hopefully it works out for you. Hopefully people out there are being nice and donating some money. PayPal link has been in there a few times. Help out Jefferson if you can. Send a few bucks, whatever you can. And trying to help out all the musicians if you can, all the artists of any kind. These online shows are really what's keeping a lot of people floating right now. Limited capacity seating shows, which I personally don't think it's a great idea to go to most of those unless they're outside. But, use your own level of comfort and do what you can to support some folks at this time. And everybody, just be nice to each other. We'll all get through this. So, if you're good, I'm good. I think we can call it a night. I really appreciate you coming to join us. It's great to have you for the first time at Irish Night, even if it was virtually.
Total pleasure. Thanks again, Tom, and thanks to everyone who tuned in. And keep in touch. I'll see you in person at Blue as soon as we can pull that off.
All right. Next week, folks, Tim Hill and Autumn Roads, 8 o'clock, same bat time, same